What's going on, everybody? Josh Koch Coach Media back for another week of St. Pius X football with Greg Cranfill, the head coach of those Panthers. Well, Coach, coming off last week, you fall short in the first game of the season, 35-7 to Second Baptist School. Before we move on to this week's game, just talk about that. What did you learn about your football team, and what do you take away from week one?
Yeah, the thing that we've come to realize in the coaching world is it's never as good as it seems when you blow somebody out, and it's never as bad as it seems when things like Friday happen. And I think the video showed just that, in the fact that there were kids out there that were fighting, that were scratching and clawing and doing the things that they were supposed to, and there were bright spots. Right now, we just have too many dark spots right now that can cover up all the good things that are happening. But that's the challenge of coaching, in the fact of evaluating those situations and then going back to the drawing board in some of those situations and going, hey, are we doing what's right for these kids? Are we putting them in the best positions and situations to be successful? And if not, having the courage to make some changes. And that's what we're doing as a staff right now.
Offensively, Bryce McCann is your player of the week. Just talk about him at quarterback and what you saw from him on film once you turned it on Saturday. Yeah,
I saw Bryce do a lot of things very, very well that were for me pretty exciting. He ends up 10 of 22, which statistically doesn't really blow you away. But I did tell him, I said, send the tape out. Send the tape out to all the college coaches, because we had 4 critical drops where the ball's hitting the guys right in the hands or right in the chest that go from 10 of 22 to 124 to about 14 of 22 for about 250 and probably another touchdown or two if we just finish the play and catch the ball. Unintentional. I mean, it's not like the guys are sabotaging them, but we've got to have guys that are making those plays in those critical situations or throughout the entire part of the game. I thought Bryce managed the game exceptionally well. And when I say manage, I mean put the ball out in the perimeter when it needed to be, and he handed the ball off to our backs when it needed to be. He did a great job of reading the box and being able to basically make those next level decisions. So we were proud of what he did.
And then on the defensive side of the ball, Travis Pesic and Jonah Arazo are your defensive players of the game. What did they bring to the field last Friday that you felt that they deserved those honors?
Yeah, Travis, he's one of those hybrid guys that can play an outside linebacker or a safety position. And we played him at safety this past week, and he ends up with 11 tackles and was flying around and able to win those one-on-one matchups, and the fact that there's a guy coming at him in a one-on-one situation, and Travis was able to finish and put the guy on the ground. He'll be the first to tell you he's got to find ways to get better. But that again pairs up with us as coaches that we've got to find ways to allow him to do those things that he does well and to keep going. So we're very, very happy with him. Jonah, we've been talking about him since day one and all the things that he brings to the table. And he was all over the field as well, and ended up with, I think, 9 tackles and an interception. So we're very proud of the progress that both of those guys have made, and well-deserved honors for them as defensive players or players of the week.
And I know after, the opening week, there's going to be probably a lot more of, we got to work on this, and this than, the positives sometimes for teams. But for you, was there anything that you saw when you turned on the film that may surprise you that your team did a little bit better in than you thought they were going to, or some guys that stepped up that, had bigger games than you thought they were going to initially out the gates?
Yeah, I think it comes with, like I said, going back to running the football. We didn't have anybody that blew us off the statistical sheet. But Minton Lewis did a great job of reading fronts. We ask our backs, they've got to be able to read, they've got to be able to run, and they've got to be able to make people miss. And I think Minton proved on Friday night that he can do just that. And then as far as the wide receiving core, I was very pleased. We had some critical drops, but for the most part, I felt like we were doing things that we needed to do that down the stretch are going to help us to be a successful football team. don't take anything away from Second Baptist, because they are a great football team, and a lot of those mistakes that we were making are in part due to them. But we're always going to look internally first and find out the things that we need to do. And like I said, for the most part, I thought that we played well. Our offensive line, there's no doubt in my mind, played exceptionally well. We gave up a couple of sacks, but both of those sacks were bust from a receiving core, which put Bryce in a situation in which he had no option other than to try to escape. And when he did escape, there were guys that were set on their men that kind of we dumped right into their lap. So no fault to theirs. I was very happy with Jeremiah Tarver, Chase, Stepp, Adrian Narvaez, Travis Avant, and Issa Baba. Issa's an exceptional athlete and is doing a great job of leading that crew. So we're happy with those guys. On the defensive side, it's one of those things right now. It's hit or miss. I got frustrated a little today in meetings in the fact that when I ask, why are you doing what you're doing the way you're doing it? And when you don't have an answer, that's a significant problem. It's not the fact that you don't know what you're supposed to do, because we can have those conversations and you have the ability to answer it. But I compared it to standing in the batter's box with 2 strikes and watching a gut fastball coming and never swinging. The question is going to be asked, why didn't you swing the bat? And if your answer is, I don't know, then there are problems that we have to figure out, A, whether you're the right person for the job, or B, do we have to go find someone else for that position? So
as you go into this week, you get Beaumont Kelly, this week you get them back at home. So another home game for you. As you look at them, what are you wanting to see your team to do better at in week 2? I know you want to get the victory at the end of the day, but just from position group to position group, what do you want to see them do better? Where do you want to see the biggest step happen from week 1 to week 2?
For me, it comes down to 2 things. One, we've got to finish drives. We were able to move the ball effectively down the field pretty much on every drive that we had. It's just that we did something to shoot ourselves in our own foot that did not allow us to finish that drive, whether it was a drop ball or a misread or something to that effect. And then defensively, we've got to get off the field on 3rd downs. We would play series in which we played great on 1st and 2nd and then have a bust on 3rd. In some cases, in 4th down situations that we didn't finish drives either way. So that's one of the big things that we're looking for offensively and defensively, is just to finish both getting off the field and finishing a drive offensively, scoring points.
And I know this past weekend, some college football got going. We had some thrilling games across the college football landscape. More gets going this weekend. For you, as some of your guys from last season over the last couple of years have gone off to play college football. Are you excited to see those guys strap it up for their respective colleges this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Jeff is Coach Feller and the graphics department is putting something out to honor all of those guys that are doing that. Playing at the next level right now. And it's a proud moment for this program to see guys out there competing and in a good light, in the fact of doing the things that they're supposed to, the way that they're supposed to. We always say great things are going to happen. Sometimes it just takes a little while to get it going. And I think those guys are great examples of they are the ones that have it going. And hopefully they'll prove to be beneficial from all the hard work that they put in.
And finally, before we let you go, I know last week was a very busy week for for Greg Cranfill and company. You had Muffins with Moms, you had Decals with Dads, you had the Topgolf fundraiser yesterday or on Sunday. Just what were your favorite moments from, Muffins with Moms, Decals with Dads? Let's start with those 2. Those are 2 very special events that you put on there at St. Pius.
Sure. And for us, everything is relationship oriented. And you can say it and you can write it, but until you actively get out and do it in your program, I don't believe you. And I think for us, we want to be more than just people that talk about things. We want to go do them. And that's why we invite the dads up and for Decals with Dads. And it's pretty fun to step back and watch the dynamic of a dad and a son sit there and work together and do things, and we're just want to create a moment. I think for Muffins and Moms, we had each one of the kids write a letter to their mother, and I asked the seniors stand up in front of everybody and read their letters to their mom. And golly, man, that's not an easy thing to do at all. And those kids, I was very, very proud of them. And to see the joy from the parents, both with decals with dads and then the moms, to hear their sons, acknowledge how much they fight and acknowledge how much they work for the benefit of those kids. It means the world to me. So that's why we do what we do, just to show how important those people are in the lives of our players and in the program, the importance they play, their roles in the program.
And then I know the other event you had was the Topgolf event. Did you get the driver out? Did you knock one out over the net?
No way, man. Coach Burns was sitting there just nailing drives, so I was not about to grab it and try to compare anything to that. We had a couple of guys that can stroke the ball. Issa Baba's father, Abe, was doing it, and you've got Matt Schulte and Danny Mazziotti and Coach Mike Evans were out there. That just to name a few of them, that they were out there just peppering that drive off that back fence. And I was like, you guys. You lost your calling, man. You should be out on tour somewhere. So, no, but we do that just for fun. Obviously, we're raising money, but it's also just a time of community and getting to know other people. I challenged everyone there. Please go shake the hands of someone that you've never met, just to keep growing and growing this SPX experience into creating something as special to everyone as it is to me.
All right. Well, busy week in the books for St. Pius. They got the season opener out of the way. Muffins with Moms, decals with dads, Topgolf in, all done, all finished. Now we're on to football week 2. St. Pius 10th will take on Kelly Catholic. Well, Coach, best of luck this week as your Panthers get back after it, and we will be back here same time next week, same place, same people. I mean, who could ask for a better duo than this?
That's right, man.
We'll be back next week, so everyone be sure to tune in. Be sure to follow St. Pius the 10th as well, as they will try to beat Kelly Catholic this week. We'll see you next week.
Go Panthers.